1968 Dodge Charger RT, Part 11. Okay, we're making a reference mark on the quarter panel and using a ruler to create a straight line. And what we're going to be doing is installing the corner pieces that connect the quarter panel and the lower valance. And here that piece is. All right, now we're making our alignment marks there. Marking out some punch holes so we can do some plug welding. And that's the little hand punch that I use. Does a really nice job. And now we can go right back to our alignment mark. We're going to get that thing clamped into place. And set it with some screws. And I'm just marking out a line here for later reference. I'll have this thing on and off several times. And final alignment. And what I'm doing here is I'm using a scratch awl to scratch up the surface, or scratch through the primer, I should say, in preparation for welding. That way we can get down to a nice clean metal. And performing the plug welds. And we're going to get this thing finished off. Yeah, the little cap or the corners are a real telltale if they're not straight. So we had to take a little bit of time and really make sure they're straight with all of the other panels. That ties in the whole back piece. All right, that is set into place now. And we're starting to dress down the welds. We're just knocking the very tops off. We want to make it really nice and flush. And running over it with the 60 grit flap wheel. Really cleaning out any old residue or burned paint there. And finishing it off with the little mini DA after we've scotch brighted. So now this surface is prepped. And now we are prepping the surface for our lower valance installation. Just being really nice and thorough. And mocking that lower valance into place. And after we've checked everything, we are proceeding with the resistance welder. Yeah, this thing does just such a really nice job. Nice clean welds. And now that we have that set into place, we're moving on to the support bracket between the trunk floor pan and the lower valance. And on each side of this support bracket is where the bumper is going to bolt to. And we have our surfaces all prepped. It's going to allow us to get some really nice good welds in there. This car's coming together really, really nice. Okay, this is the base of our jack holder. Removing a small amount of EDP coat. And that is where we are going to weld. All right, we're installing some really nice plug welds. Hold that thing into place. And this is the little eyelet for the spring retainer for the jack. And here's a finished shot of the lower valance after we've dressed it down, and it's ready for a light coated primer. And we installed just enough primer to hold it in place until we start the body working process. And that's a shot of the inside before it's dressed down, just after welding. And now we've applied a small amount of primer to that surface, we're going to be seam sealing. It's a lot easier to gain access. We can do a much better job at this point. And two, there is going to be a latch support. The trunk latch support is going to go on after, and we want to do this before that so we can get a really nice job, get everything nice and sealed. It's going to be pretty difficult if that was installed, so we're just trying to think ahead. And I don't like to go crazy with seam sealer, just enough to be flat and seal the seam. That's it. And here's a shot of the parts we've installed. And now moving on to the tail light panel installation. We're going to start by mocking that thing up. Checking the deck lid fit. Now this is an AMD part, the tail light panel, and it wasn't too bad. Yeah, we just had to do minor modifications, nothing really serious. You can see we have a really nice deck lid to tail light panel gap. And now we have that mocked into place. Now it's time to fit the rear bumper. Make sure everything is where it should be. There's a little bit of packing oil on it, so we're just knock that off. And we're going to be installing the brackets. And probably one of the easier ways to do this is go ahead and install the bumper bolts from this angle, and then just put some tape over those to hold it when we flip it over. All right. Makes bracket installation much easier. And now we're going to get that bracket cinched down and get ready for installation. Get it up there and see how everything ties together. Yeah, this is always the big question mark, because you really don't know how everything has tied together. You have a pretty good idea, but when you put the bumper up there, that doesn't tell any lies. And if something's off, or panel's incorrect or incorrectly made, yeah, it's going to amplify it, and you're going to really see that. So anxious to get it up there. And there's the bumper assembled. Here we go. Everything's looking pretty decent. And there it is. All of our lines are parallel. Everything looks really good. Pretty happy with that. And of course, we have not welded the taillight panel in just yet. We're going to be disassembling the bumper and finishing that up. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Hey, and as always, hey, thanks for watching.